Sure, I'd like to talk about three of the works that you see here. And I want to first point out two things. You'll see first that they're very colorful, but they're also very dramatic with these abstract shapes. So I'm really interested in two things. I'm interested in something that's called color field, which was very popular in the late 60s, 1970s, these sort of one color on a canvas. So I'm interested in these kinds of spots where it looks like there's only one color. But I'm also very interested in something called mark making. And this is where the artist is actually touching the canvas with either a pencil or charcoal, or in my case, my hands. So when you come and look at these works, yes, of course, look at them this way, but I really want you to get up close. I want you to look at all these spaces, because while you might say this is yellow, there are probably 12 or 13 different kinds of yellows here. And it's the interplay of all these yellows that make you think it's yellow. But it's just more than that. And all of these paintings are just more than that. And look at how the yellow transforms itself into this. Now, this painting is called When the Days Grow Dark. And this is my experience of watching the late autumn turn into winter. So here we see the dark storm clouds of winter coming. The snow is coming, and it's coming to land. And while we might think that this is purple, there's actually, just like this yellow, so many different kinds of purple here. I make all of my own colors, and I work in acrylics, mostly because they dry very quickly. And so I can make many different kinds of colors and work very quickly. I think almost all of these canvases will have an area where the canvas is raw. This means that it's been primed, it's been marked, but it's not painted over. So here, I leave an area so that you can kind of see that each painting has an inside and an outside. So these marks begin here and they go here, but now they're covered over. They're inside this purple, and then they will kind of emerge out of this pink, and then they go back in, but then these black marks kind of turn into these orange swirls. So what I'm trying to do as an artist is help you read the painting, so that these marks are going to help you move across the canvas, and it's going to show you motion. So each of my canvases, I hope, have a kind of drama that draw you in, not only the color, but the movement. And even as this pink moves into the yellow, you'll see that these marks are like clouds. I'm very fascinated with how clouds merge and come apart. And I want that kind of feeling. I want that sense of two colors fighting for their position. How do I belong in this space? And maybe this is a little bit about an American trying to be here in Estonia. How do I fit in this community? How do I belong? And I have to push and I have to pull. I have to say thank you. But this is how we look. So this is about the coming of winter. This, in some cases, I show the mark, but I also have painted over it. And to give you a little secret, this is actually a heart, because this is called Take Care of the Things You Love. And this is something that I began to think about in quarantine, and that is, what are those things that have become really, really precious? And oftentimes when we think of things that are precious, we think of jewelry, diamonds and gold. So here we have this kind of dripping gold. And then I thought, so many things happen at sea, so many accidents, so many shipwrecks that we find at the bottom of the sea, treasures. And I know that out here in the Baltic are many, many treasures that have been lost over the centuries. And so here we see kind of a boat figure, a sailboat, which we see all the time here in this Noblessner area. And she's just sort of floating here amidst this blue sea. And where is the sky and where is the land? We're just sort of drifting here, and we don't really know where we're going. But we always have to remember to take care of the things that we love. Very important. So this piece is called Everything Has a History, which is really kind of true. All of us, as we move through life, gather information and experiences that shape us as people. And this was a way of me looking at the Noblessner area and realizing that this place also has a history. That even though as a new person here, I see this now igloo village and new apartments and things are changing, but I also know that this was once an area that was restricted, that only Russians could come here. And so everything has a history. And in this work, I'm trying to invite the viewer into this idea of inside and outside again. And I've created this kind of sun, this kind of corona. Again, I'm using gold because gold has sort of a connotation for many of us. But I now want this gold to drip over the sun. And under this sun, I want these other drips of other colors, which were done with pencil, and then let water work to move these. So again, these marks are moving under and inside and outside and all around. And you might want to think that this is kind of the sea, and as we move up into kind of the sun, and we might say that this is pink, you could say that that's pink, but you'll see yellow here, and you'll see green here, and you'll see orange here. So color, again, I'm playing with how rich this color is. And even as the pink moves down, the pink becomes touched with purple. Again, purple has a lot of rich history too. Because even though we have experiences in our life, we oftentimes associate colors with experiences and feelings. And I only much later realized I'm using pink a lot in all of these paintings. And I'll tell you, I'm not sure why. So maybe you can have an answer. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about titles and also about what it means to talk about art, because I think it's very, very important as an artist that one be very clear about what it is you're trying to express, because really an artist's job is to communicate by way of their work to somebody else. So if you're going to make that very difficult to understand, you're not going to be able to connect with other people as nicely as you'd like to. So there are two works in this series that have very important titles. And for me, how titles are made, again, as I mentioned, are invitations, but there are also differences between using capital letters and small case letters. For those of you that are internet or social media savvy, you know that if you type something in all capitals, you're yelling at somebody. And so when I put something in capital letters in my title, I'm trying to be emphatic. Whereas if I'm using lowercase, I'm being a little bit more soft-spoken. There's a kind of invitation. Please welcome in, and I want you to think. So there are two works. One is called Drifting Slowly Towards Infinity, which is this work. And this other work, which is called Remember How It Is to Float. These works, I think, had to have been created by me at this stage of my life. I now realize that there's more life behind me than what's going to be in front of me. And so I'm oftentimes thinking about my life as a younger person and how, as I tried to go through every day working and making money and paying my rent and dealing with relationships, that you kind of forget some of the important things. So remember how it is to float. Remember how, as a child, you're in the water or you're in the meadow or you're in the forest and you're looking up at the universe and you're just sort of floating freely. And the mind that the child has is so pure and so sacred and so easily lost. So try to remember, even in your 20s and 30s and 40s and 60s and 80s, what it's like to float, because this is a very important feeling. And this drifting towards infinity, it's the same idea, but in the other direction. As one goes forward, as one begins to leave the planet, knowing that you're not going to be here forever, that you're drifting. Okay, so here's the real story. When I made this work, a professor that was very important to me died. And he sort of really shaped my professional world in a very profound way. And I realized that who and what he is going to fade in the future. And that I was now the vessel that had to carry on. And so in this work, you actually see what looks like a ship, but it's not a ship. And in fact, if you look at this symbol and you go outside, I promise you that this shape is very close to the Staapli 3 gallery. Find it and you'll see, this is the shape. But this is a window. And this window is facing kind of up. And the idea is that as you move up, you're moving towards heaven. You're moving towards transcendence. You're going to a place where you're no longer going to be in this realm. And so drifting slowly towards infinity means you're only here a certain amount of time. Do the most you can, do the best you can, be the kindest you can, because one day you won't be able to. And that's what this work is about. A reminder.